Thank you, everyone, for attending our fourth and final SCI Connections meeting for 2023. We're really looking forward to your participation. We're going to give you an update of what we've been doing and then have an open discussion at the end to hear from our community. So with no further ado, with our quick introductions. So for those of you that are on the call, please be aware that this session is being recorded. We will post it after this onto our website. So if there's anybody that you want to share it with, or anyone that you know that unfortunately couldn't attend today live, then they're welcome to review the recording. So a little bit more detail of what we're going to be going in today is we're going to talk a little bit about our membership and the activity summary that we've done for 2023. Barry will give us our financial overview as our treasurer, and then we'll hand it over to our current VP, Ian Burkhart, and he'll be talking about our projects and engagement services. We'll bounce it back to Barry to talk about SCIRAC, or the SCI Research Advocacy course, scitrials.org. And then we will talk a little bit about our new project that we launched this year, SCI Powered Network. We'll reveal our election results and some of the leadership changes that are happening at SCIRAC, or sorry, at NASCIC. And then we'll hand it over to Ian to say what to expect in 2024. So let's get started and get into the details. We got a lot to cover, right? Great. So let's talk a little bit about our growth. We started back in 2018 with 84 members. It's been a slow and steady incline, but that's fantastic. So we continue to grow our members. We are at 473 now. Both our patron, our principal, and our partner members. In Canada, we have almost all of the provinces represented. And in the US, we're just missing a few states, but for the most part, we're really starting to cover the breadth of the US as well. We do have adopted a few other countries with memberships in, as a courtesy particularly for countries and areas of the world where we they do not have a consortium for spinal cord injury. Some of our main activities here, we've had a busy year. We did a continuation of our partnered projects, which was one of the key things that we started the organization with. But we also launched 3 different programs this year, and we'll give you more details later, both the engagement services, SCIRAC, and the SCI Powered Network. For some of our outreach activities that we've done this year, we've had our 3 previous SCI Connections meetings, one on activity-based therapies and the recent research on that, contemporary management for neurogenic bladder, and we also did a session on pain. So all of those are recorded and they're available on our website under meetings. We also hosted a special session about maintaining respiratory health for SCI, as well as tips and tricks for those who are applying for the SCI research program through the DoD. We also did some special outreach this year with the FDA. We held a special meeting with the device division on an SCI panel of information meetings. So we helped to educate their reviewers and compliance officers about the preferences and priorities within the spinal cord injury community, and also had members represented from our principal members on a panel to talk about the personal experiences of living with SCI. That meeting was supposed to be an hour. It ended up extending into an hour and a half. So it's great to see the interest of our regulators and how we can help educate them on our priorities within the community. We also became part of the new TAP program. That program at the FDA was launched at the beginning of this year, and NASCIC is one of the advocacy organizations within that program with FDA. And it started in January of 2023, but expanded to neurological conditions in October. We also put in public comment. Thank you to many of those within our community that responded. There was an open call from FDA about home use technologies, And we put out a survey to our community. We had some great responses. We consolidated those and sent those over to FDA to help them build their guidances for home use technology, particularly this one for the perspective of people living with spinal cord injuries. Also, part of our outreach was attending conferences. So we attended quite a few this year. Some new, some that we've had reoccurring from years before, but it's always a good time to get our boots on the ground and talk face to face or Zoom to Zoom with within our community. And we really enjoyed that, and we'll continue that effort through 2024. And now I would like to hand it over to our treasurer, Barry, for our financial report. Barry?
Thanks, Jen. Appreciate that. Hello, everybody. It's nice to see you all again, and looking forward to another great year as we meander through all the great projects that are going on. So in summary, I can go ahead, Jen. This is an example. This is really it's not complete accurate because it only takes us up until the mid December. But what I did was I projected money I knew was coming in, money going out, but it gives you an idea of how we did. As you see, the total income is $277,850, and a good portion of that on the grants was the Nielsen grant that we received for a project that Jen's going to speak to in a few minutes. And then we're all very fortunate to have our fee for service, which deals with really looking at engagement services that we're providing. That's a big source of income, and partnerships and sponsorships. So again, this is money that has gone well to running the organization. The expenses, if you see this, administration is the big ticket. That's really money that flows back to the Canadian Spinal Research Organization that provides a lot of the administration here, which also includes some of the extra costs that you don't see in here, SurveyMonkey, things like that. So that's some of the subscriptions that are more detailed that we cover at our end at the CSRO. And program expense really is dealing with, we're still cleaning up the expense of the SCI Research Advocacy course, and that is almost completed. We'll be paying off some of that in the new year, but we're comfortable that that'll be behind us and we move forward. And so, again, this is a great example of not a bad, we're at a point now where we actually have to be audited. We're hitting those numbers. We're getting to that point. And going into the new year, we're going to try to achieve the same number, but we know in advance that we're not looking at a grant from Nielsen at this time. So that's going to have to be adjusted, and either we find replacement funds or we adjust our expenses accordingly. So that's it in a nutshell. If anybody wants to ask any questions around that, feel free to ask. If not, we can talk later on.
Okay. Thanks, Barry.
Thanks. All right.
So we're handed over to Ian. Ian, talk about our projects and engagement services. You're at it.
Certainly. Thanks, everyone. It's great to see some people here, and hopefully anyone who's watching the recording will enjoy our recap of the year. If we go to the next slide, we can talk a little bit about our lived experience engagement initiatives. They kind of fall into two buckets. One is a direct partner project partnership, and the other one is engagement services. And it really just varies down to how much work has been done before someone comes to NASCIC for us to help with their lived experience. So project partnerships are really good for groups that already have a plan or a framework for engagement, and we can help provide a consumer advisory board or focus groups to really make sure that these projects are carried out. Engagement services, and we'll get to a little bit more on that later. It's really NASCIC designing the engagement plan for the project. The team needs to know that they want to include the voice of lived experience, but not really sure how, and that's where we step in and can really help. So the projects that are really the core of NASCIC, and that's what we started with. Next page. We have a project review committee who helps us determine what projects we want to associate with. It consists of 10-ish active members. Right now, we actually have 11 that meet monthly and really make sure that the projects meet the goal of what NASCIC wants, and making sure that it's for something that fits in line with the mission. And then also provides great feedback to these project applications. Next slide, we have different types of projects that we have. We have both external and internal projects. The external projects are kind of what we've already mentioned, where someone comes to us and just has us help engage the community with their plan. Some of the internal projects that we've done are some of the work with the FDA that Jen mentioned earlier, whether that be on the TAP program, the Total Product Lifestyle program, and also the home user technology public comment, and some other projects as well. The internal projects are where we really pull from our project engagement database, which is open to anyone with lived experience, primarily individuals living with spinal cord injury, but also their caregivers, because that brings a nice, unique experience to projects all the time. And that allows us to recruit for consumer advisory boards, focus groups, surveys, speaking engagements, as well as trial recruitment, where we can help individuals or projects and institutions find people to engage. There's two projects that I want to highlight that I think are worth note of this year. One was from Thomas Jefferson University, and it was really highlights, this paper and project really highlights exactly what we do at NASCIC, and it was engaging stakeholders as advisors on the design of a large-scale calibration study of spinal cord injury movement index. So they're looking at dividing a new outcome measure tool, and really we're able to pull in 4 members on a consumer advisory board from NASCIC that were really able to help design the project and make sure that this is going to be something that people with spinal cord injuries can use, and it's not going to be a tool where they go and do a clinical assessment. It's too lengthy and burdensome on the individual, and that's an ongoing project to make sure that this outcome measure is really validated and tested for the people that it's going to be used on. Next, we have a project from ICORD and UBC, and it was perspectives on data sharing in individuals with spinal cord injury. This was, once again, another fantastic project that really highlighted NASCIC as well, with our participation of helping people get respondents for the survey on this project. And it really showed that a lot of people believe that the potential benefits of sharing data outweigh the negatives. And most of them aren't super concerned with the negatives that come from data sharing, but a lot of people want to help the field grow in general. Next, we can talk a little bit about the PRC itself, and the types of reviews we have. We have some metrics that we collect. We've really noticed over the past year that we've had a lot more letter of support requests and research recruitment requests than direct projects. We still have a few projects that we've been able to collaborate on, but we have a lot more of things where we're doing recruitment requests and letters of support for funding of projects, which hopefully those in turn do get funded and turn into projects. We also highlight our project engagement database. Next slide, Jen. And that's been growing steadily as far as we have more and more people that are wanting to be involved in that. We've had a little bit of a decrease in amount of members who are assigned to projects, partially because, like I said, we have had less projects being active, and the increase of members in the database are they kind of go hand in hand with that. But with the PRC, like I said, we have 10 members. We do want to thank one of our members who's rotating off at the end of the year. Jane has been a fantastic asset to the PRC, and she's been a member of the PRC for a long time. She's a nurse by training and worked at the Model Systems hospital in the New England area. But really now she works as a access specialist at United Spinal, and really has been a great wealth of information. We have a couple other members who will be changing roles within the PRC also in the new year. So if it's something that you'd like to participate in, please reach out to me and we can make that happen. Next, I want to talk a little bit about our engagement services. So this is another form of projects, like I mentioned before, where people come to us and they know that they need to include the community, they just don't know how. And so through that, we'll help them understand the patient journey, do some targeted training for their groups, individuals, to make sure that they understand what it's like working with someone with spinal cord injury, and then help make their messaging be effective, so that they're asking the right questions of the community while they're doing any pre-trial design, and then also connect with the community so that way they are really working with us. And also it allows for these groups to really understand the value of lived experience, and making sure that they're getting a lot of good feedback from a small pool of participants that might be in an advisory board, but making sure that that's something that's showcasing the highlights of the full community. We have a few testimonials here from different clients, from Anuvo that's working on a spinal cord stim device, EG427 that's working on a bladder therapeutic, and really showing that our partnership is helpful for them to make sure that they're using their resources wisely and being able to benefit from having the voice of the lived experience, and it allows them to save time on their research and development. Additionally, we worked with Precision, who's a brain and computer interface company. And we are, really here to help anyone who, knows that they need to include the community, but is really not sure how. So there's a link there to our website, nascic.org/engagement-services. If anyone's interested, or you can contact myself or any of the other officers and individuals within NASCIC.
Thanks, Ian. And then I'd like to just speak now about the SCI Research Advocacy course, which has really been on our plate for about 2.5 years now, and frankly was an idea that stemmed out of our original NIH meeting back in 2019. A presentation was made at our annual meeting in Vancouver with the recommendation to our group to go ahead and, I like to say, get her done. And that's what we've been working on, and I'm very happy to announce that we have launched the program, and it started in April. Go to the next slide, please. And with that, we are now at 300 users have registered, and I'll speak to that in more detail. With 58 have completed the course. This is already a stale stat. I am literally getting probably 3 or 4 registrations are coming in a day on my email chain, which tells me that we've gained a bit of momentum at the end of the year. So we're excited about that. And, when we're looking at the course itself and how it was being received by the community and getting used and people completing it, I have to admit I was a little critical of the program and disappointed on it not being received as big as it has. But if you look at that stat on the side, when we looked at this, that the average free online curriculum, you're lucky if you get 13% completion rate. We're currently tracking 20% and even going further. That said, we're taking many steps, and frankly, at the advice of our executive council, thank you, to really find ways to help people manage and get through the course in itself. So, for example, we send them bi-weekly emails of those that are already in the course. We call them the nudge email. And the nudge email pushes them towards the next module, go to the next module. We also helped people navigate through the course by putting a time of each module so that they understand when they go back to their computer and look at it, that they only have like 20 minutes ahead of them in the next module. And as you know, people like to see increments of success in getting through it. And then frankly, we had a lot of people that were stuck in the last module who forgot to click the last button to say that they've completed it. And yet they had, and we can track all this in the back end. So some steps have been taken along those lines. And again, we've really been dedicating most of our time to dissemination. And that said, if you look, this is an example, not even exhaustive, of the dissemination strategies. Of course, we've done massive email blitzes, but as you know, they can still be sitting in someone's inbox, not even opened. The openings on the emails were pretty good. We followed up with major influencers in terms of organization leaders to see what they can do more internally, and had said several meetings. For example, United Spinal, Christopher Dana Reeve, the PVA, and as you may remember, the PVA actually gave us grant money to help disseminate the information within their own group, and doing it that way. We're excited now too, in talking to the model centers on an individual basis, that we've been invited to speak to the model centers managers meeting on Monday to do a formal presentation on this work. So we are at this every day. And one of the next page, please. One of the things that we're excited about too was a recent partnership with Praxis in Canada. As some of you may know, Praxis really is the network controller, so to speak, of all networks related to SCI, as both a funder and a facilitator in Canada. And what we've done is, with our partnership, Praxis has helped to introduce and facilitate to the point where I just want to speak briefly. When you saw in the back there all those conferences that we've attended, most of them was us presenting on the course itself, or engagement services, or the idea of engagement as a philosophy. I know Jen gave a great presentation at the Asia conference to kick off the year. And then we've been following up with trying to introduce this not to really the frontline workers. So the clinicians, the physios, the OTs, the SCI trauma nurses, so that they can introduce this to the people with lived experience and move it forward that way. We've had some pretty good or moderate success, but I'd say the best example of success recently was the National Canadian SCI Rehabilitation Conference, where we really saturated it with every other in-between screenshot was of the course between sessions, that every of the 300 people attending all received a postcard on our program, and that the presentations by Praxis were all about going back to the course and endorsing the course in every session that we were possibly in. I couldn't ask for a better way of doing it. And at first I came back in a week, it was all quiet, but literally we're seeing 3 or 4 registrations coming in today. So the Canadians are coming after the Americans on this one. It's heating up. So we could have a Canada-US thing happening soon, but it's exciting. And originally too, the demographics were interesting, that we were seeing at first glance, a lot of people, a lot of researchers and clinicians were the majority of the people taking the course, but slowly it's moved into more of a 50-50 basis, where we're seeing much more people with lived experience in the course and not necessarily completing it, but we're working on that. So what we're doing going forward is we're reapproaching all these organizations. We're putting a heavy emphasis on the PVA for the main reason too, they really helped provide us with the funding to do so. And so we're meeting with their groups. We were lucky that they actually produced a research webinar internally that was distributed by them to their own membership. And in there, they actually gave a very big plug for the course. So that said, we're circling back and doing what we can to reinforce that endorsement. That, and going forward, we'll probably be attending again their healthcare summit in Anaheim, and we continue to post these things on our socials. And social media, it's all about Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, but we're now entering into the Reddit world, which many of you might not know, but there's some SCI forums and conversations in there that are quite, how can I say, they are heavily used by people with lived experience with SCI in some of these forums. So we're going that route as well, really telling everybody and anybody about it. The good news now too is we also have the opportunity of having testimonials from people that have taken the course, and all very positive. So going forward, maybe the next slide, what's next for us? So we're going to continue to do what we're doing. We're going to really expand the practice relationship in the new year, and we're excited about that. Really just kicked that off in November. We will have a Spanish translation of the course. Currently it's in subtitles, but we can actually offer an outright translation. And then we're continuing to listen to our EC council to tell us and recommend what they think might be the best way of rebranding it. And or even entertain the idea of possibly offering different levels of the courses where it's not the full course at once, but we're not there yet, and that's got to be worked out. We're still confident that running through the course itself is still good, but we do recognize a 5.5 to 6 hour course that's got some science in it, even though it's lay, might be more than what people want. And I think at the end of the day, all we want to do is make sure that these resources are out there and available to people with lived experience that will go back to the original mandate of, really building their capacity in this area so that they feel comfortable being advocates in research. So that's the game plan, and we're going hard on this. And I have to admit too, within the groups, we're starting to really now identify champions, people that want to carry forward without us prompting and reaching out to others. And this includes some of the major organizations like NIDLR as a major funder of rehab research in the US, and they are now looking at bringing us together for their lunch and learn stakeholders and being part of their resources to distribute the online resources. So very good. And so I'm frankly, we're not else sure what we can do, but we're going to keep on going and try to do that Energizer, ever ready bunny thing, and just keep going until someone says stop. So I can say we've had pretty good success this year and look forward to a solid 1 year of 2024. And then again, we have to remind everybody, the whole point of this is to build the capacity. And with our Praxis partnership, along with what we do with NASCIC in the US, is we're going to be building workshops as a second tier for those that graduate that want to be sort of get a higher end of learning and be more specific in some areas, and really also share the experience of other advocates so that we have almost a form of peer support within the advocacy world of lessons learned, and we can build on that too. We know full well that what we're doing isn't perfect, and we're always open to constructive comments on how we can do things and get things out. And so far, almost everything we've heard from the community has been very positive, if not that, more constructive in how we can do things. And that part's exciting. So it's been, frankly, a labor of love for me. And I'm not so sure about all the people who have to work with me on this, but we're getting through it. And again, 2024 should be a great year, and we'll start to see really the fruits of our labor, because at the end of all this, our plan is to place people with researchers who are looking for advocates and advocates looking for researchers to partner with. And we think that this will reap the benefits of that. But it can't be done without the help of our partners. And I can't say enough about them. They have been absolutely amazing. And we're just renewing a lot of those folks right now. But I just want to give kudos out to everybody you see on the screen. And we really take this partnership, but also grow it into information on what NASCIC does as well, including some of these groups in our SCI Quarterly Connections like the one we're having today or other webinars that we're producing, and having the education on the product, but really through education of the area of work that they're in, and talking about different health concerns that are addressed with potentially commercial products in general, that we can work together on, and having these experts speak to us. And we've been very fortunate to have some excellent presentations over the last year, and look forward to more of these in the new year. But again, none of this would happen without those folks you see on the screen right now. They've been incredible partners, and we're very fortunate to have them help us out.
Excellent. Thanks, Barry, for that overview. So we talked about we said we launched 3 programs this year. We launched the research advocacy course, which Barry just mentioned, our engagement services that Ian gave an overview on, and then we also launched a new project for us, which is the SCI powered network. So I'm going to give you a little bit more detail of how we came about getting to this project and what our goals and objectives are in doing our efforts here. So if you remember from last year, and if you attended last year, we did a lot of effort of hosting information roundtables with our principal members and other members within the SCI community to really get an idea of what is some of the biggest challenges, the biggest gaps that exist in the spinal cord injury community today. And after several rounds of those roundtables, we honed in on one of the areas that really needs some development. And that development is the information gap that happens within our spinal cord injury, particularly for those that once they leave rehab and they're home for a while, they get disconnected from information that's available. And what we do know is that as a spinal cord injury community, there's a lot of rich and information out there that for spinal cord injury, but a lot of times it's about getting the right information and making sure that it's information that's credible and trustworthy. And so that's really what we're honing in on for the SCI powered network. So our overall goal is to really build a community-driven framework for credible and trustworthy spinal cord injury information, and to exchange and disseminate that in an inclusive and engaging manner with our stakeholders, both inside and outside the spinal cord injury community. From that goal, we have 2 objectives. One is really understanding the high priority information needs and the daily challenges. So we need to really drive down more in terms of what the problem is before we can come up with a solution. So with that is designing a needs assessment survey and really making sure that we're conducting this with diversity and underserved individuals in mind. We're also part of the objective to attain our goal is to do a landscape search of understanding kind of some of the common characteristics of inclusive and trustworthy information. When people go and say this information source is trustworthy and it's credible and it's accessible for me, what are the key characteristics that we can see across those? And that way we can help to identify what are credible and trustworthy sources. So for this project, this is a multi-year project. We have 3 deliverables. One is in the process right now, is really understanding the gap analysis between high priority needs for spinal cord injury and identifying the information and resources that currently exist. We're going to also develop a metric, some metrics around SCI information and resources to kind of create the seal of approval. So understanding that the information has been vetted by our community and for our community. And finally, part of this project is to really come up with a design criteria of what consists of solutions and definitions, what are system characteristics, what are key attributes. Because the reason we're doing this is our background work, is to make sure we understand the priorities, what information is available, but also we can't just come up with a solution out of the blue. What are the key characteristics are those? And then we can start to work on the solution. So think of this as phase 1 of really digging down into the problem and understanding what the needs are from our community's perspective. But then also a phase 2 will be then, now that we have design criteria and we have some metrics around the characteristics of the information, then we can start to build the solution. So think of it this way, in terms of a multi-phase project. We have been working with a very dedicated working group. These are the members of our working group across various types of organizations throughout the US and Canada. And they bring some fantastic perspectives to us. So we've been meeting on a monthly basis, and that will continue throughout next year. Part of what we are working on now is a needs assessment survey to really go out to our community and understand what the needs are, what are our daily challenges, and bring that information back to us so we can come up with a good solution for our community to help fill this information gap or the information exchange issue that we see within our community. So we will need your help coming into the new year with this survey to share it amongst your communities, share it amongst your peers, so we can get really some great feedback and make sure that we're getting to underserved populations and diverse populations for a response. And we want to thank all of the working group members who have been working diligently on this project so far. So with that, we've introduced you to what we've done in 2023. What are some of the projects that are and various programs that we've launched in 2023. And now we're going to start to look into the future of what are we going to do for 2024. So as our charter states for NASCIC, our officers rotate off every 2 years. And it's been a pleasure to be your president during the last 2 years. And with that, we are going to hand the leadership off with our new officers. Whoops. So with that, Ian Burkhart will be rolling into our new president. He'll be rolling off of being vice president and will be our new president. And our incoming vice president will be Jared Kerr. Jared, we're really looking forward to working with you. Jared's been serving on our project review committee for several years. He's been engaged in going to conferences and representing NASCIC. So we're really thrilled to have him on board as our incoming vice president. Also, in our executive council, we have executive council members that will be rotating off and new ones that will be rotating on. So with that, Kim Anderson, who is our past president and one of the original founders of NASCIC, she will be rotating off the executive council. Kim, we appreciate all the hard work and effort and leadership that you've given to us over the years. Also rotating off is Jose Hernandez. He's from the United Spinal New York City chapter. And he has provided a fantastic perspective to us, not just from a diversity perspective, but also from the challenges that our community faces with caregivers, as well as really understanding the lived experience from the early stage of the injury, because he's a really hands-on mentor. So Jose, thank you for all the effort and the contributions you've made to the Executive Council. We will miss you both. Now, with our elections, with 2 rotating off, we have 2 rotating on. So we would like to welcome Samantha Troyer. She will be coming on as a new Executive Council member. She is with U2FP and also brings a really great perspective from a higher level injury, but also from her advocacy work that she does. We would also like to welcome Matt Castelluccio, who is the VP of Resources over at United Spinal. He will be joining our Executive Council as well. So we welcome you too. We're really looking forward to working with you in 2024. So with this now shows you our new slate of Executive Council. Our 3 officers remain on the council, which will be Ian as our president, Jared as our vice president, and Barry will remain as our treasurer. And I already mentioned that both Samantha and Matt will be joining as new delegates. Jake Beckstrom will also remain on the council. He has another year of service with us. And as past president, I will rotate on to the Executive Council. So this is our slate of leaders. As you may know or may not, but you can reach out to any of us. We will be listed on our website. Those that have been on since last year Our contact information is on the websites. So we want to be as transparent, as communicative as we can with our community. So please feel free to reach out to any of us with any questions, concerns, or things you would like to see change within the spinal cord injury community. So as I mentioned, we have a leadership change. We want to thank again Kim for being our past president and the leadership she's provided in the past. You really set some great foundation for the consortium, and we appreciate the work that you've done in that. But we're also leaving the organization in great hands. So we have a lot of confidence that both Ian and Jared and Barry, as officers of the consortium, will lead it into the future and do a great job for our community. So, so we welcome our new leadership, and we appreciate the service that those that have provided in the past. We also have our outreach committee. Our outreach committee was heavily involved with Barry and with the dissemination of SCIRAC this year, and really helping us in terms of the translation, language translation efforts. So Jen, Rebecca, Lehigh, and Taryn have all been on the committee and very active. Jacques was also very active, but we will miss him as we lost him last month, and he will live in our loving memory, and we'll always remember the advocacy and passion that he brought to spinal cord injury care, cure, and advocacy again. So we want to thank you guys for all the efforts that you've done for us. And with that, we'll be handing over the baton to Ian. So Ian's going to talk a little bit about what we can expect in 2024. Ian.
Thanks, Jen. Certainly for 2024, we're going to be repeating a lot of the same of what's really core into the heart of NASCIC, with our, what's under our tent pole right now with the research advocacy course, continuing on with SCItrials.org and promoting any clinical trials, our project partnerships that I discussed earlier, as well as engagement services. But some of the things that you can really expect in 2024 on the next slide is much more dissemination of the SCIRAC course. It's a great tool. I think it really provides a lot of people a good baseline of how they can get involved in advocacy from someone who, might be a few years out from their injury and wants to know what's going on in the world of research, to also clinicians and individuals that are working in the field. We'll also continue our outreach with our principal member collaboration framework, and making sure that we're really uniting and sharing the voice of the community as much as possible. Our expansion of engagement services will really just continue to do more of what we launched last year. We're bringing on another consultant at the beginning of the year to help us grow our capacity and be able to work with industry a lot more to really make sure that the voice of the lived experience is managed. And as Jen mentioned, with the SCI powered network and the community needs assessment, we'll be sending out our survey hopefully beginning of the year, and really making sure that we have the best needs of the community identified, so that we can help solve those needs. But with that, I definitely want to thank everyone for coming. We have some time for just open discussion. If anyone has questions, feel free to either unmute yourself or add them into the chat, and I can pose those questions to the group. And we really appreciate you all being here.
Any questions from our audience? Comments, suggestions, we want to hear them.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me well?
We can, Ignacio. How are you?
I'm doing well. I wanted just to chime in real quick, say hi, and I want to personally see how I can be involved more with the group and with advocacy. I want to say that I got accepted for my PhD in biokinesiology at USC. So that's going to be my next chapter as far as research. But I want to be more involved, and don't know who would be best to guide me.
Yeah. Barry or Ian, do you want to take that on?
Yeah, certainly, Ignacio. I can reach out to you directly and see exactly, what you want to be involved with and figure out a spot to put you, because we always need more people to help us and essentially spread the lived experience message. So I'll be in touch, and likewise for anyone else that wants to be involved, whether big or small, serving on a outreach committee, serving in one of our other committees, or even being involved in the project engagement database. Anyone that wants to be involved more, please don't hesitate to reach out to me.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ian.
Thanks, Ian. Yeah, and just wanted to put, just to emphasize a little bit about the project engagement database. If you haven't joined the database, please do so. That's where we first recruit for not only projects, but also engagement services, for people who are interested in providing their voice and their lived experience, to both research and industry to help move SCI care and treatments and devices forward. And of course, take the SCI Research Advocacy course, right, Barry?
Absolutely.
I would like to say that the course, I did just take the course. It was extensive, in depth. January 4th is, my 5-year anniversary, and 5 years in, there's nothing that I could think of that I thought would be pertinent or important to put in the course that wasn't already in there. Anybody with SCI, I would recommend it to. Anybody that's involved with SCI research, clinicians. I mean, the breadth of what's covered is it was really impressive. I'm really grateful for the amount of work, and I know that I'm just showing up. I just heard about NASCIC not even 2 months ago, I don't think, and I'm really blown away that I haven't, but I'm really grateful for everything that you guys are doing. So thank you,
Jordan. Those are great words, and because we're obviously recording this piece, do I have your permission to use your words as a testimonial?
Of course, but my name is Jacob. I apologize for the email.
Okay.
The
Jacob
email
Snyder.
switch says Jordan Snyder. No, it's okay. So
All right,
I would
Jacob.
appreciate if you would, and I would be grateful to advocate where I could and how I could for the course and for the work that your organization has done.
Thank you.
Just gonna jump in and
Okay.
say something real quick here. First, congratulations, Jared, and Ian. I'm really excited to see your guys' leadership continuing to grow NASCIC. And to Kim, thank you so much, and Jen as well for creating NASCIC. Really, I think you guys were the driving force. It's amazing to see from a small idea that formed in your guys' head a number of years ago to what you've created, and under your leadership. I think it's tremendous to see the role NASCIC is playing now and continues to grow and have a stronger influence. So great to see where we've come, and really excited to see where we're going.
Thank you, John. We really appreciate that. Absolutely. Yvonne, I think you had unmuted yourself, so I wanted to make sure that you had a voice.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
This is my first time of joining you guys. Well, I want to say thank you for all you've been doing and for the spinal cord injury community. My name is Yvonne Jack. I am the founder of Spinal Cord Injury Association Network in Africa, where, yeah, we're a group of, a network of organizations, dedicated to providing critical information and support to people living with spinal cord injury. So this is a very good opportunity, and I'm so proud and happy to be here. Actually, Eric Kondo told me about this meeting.
That's fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thanks for joining.
thank you.
I just want to say briefly, I'm so happy and proud of everything that's been created by the whole community of people here. And it's something I've dedicated the last 7 years of my life to. I think I might go through withdrawals for a little while, but I am so confident that it's in good hands. And it's making so many changes in our community that you might not really be aware of, but really are making a lot of changes, and by everybody with a spinal cord injury and people connected to them, just speaking up and being involved. And there's no tiny amount of involvement. It's all important, and it really helps all of us, and will help everyone else in the future. So congratulations to everyone.
Well, thank you, Kim, and you're still on our SCI Powered Network working group, so we'll still be pulling you in, but we really appreciate everything that you've done, and we'll continue to do. There is one comment in the chat about translating the course into Spanish that is in the works right now. There are subtitles available right now, but we are continuing to working on that. So Roberto will reach out to you, and thank you for that offer to help. But Bill, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
I do. And
Hey, Bill, we only have 7 minutes, okay?
yeah, you know me well. Okay, so I was looking at the engagement services tab a bit ago, but the question I have is there a process, or have any of you thought about getting involved in the process of evaluating new devices? I'm talking about on the low end of the scale versus some of the high end partnerships that you have with big corporations as they bring out a large dollar project. I'm speaking of the small inventions that we all can recognize help us on a daily basis. Is there a process, or have you thought about a process to evaluate a new simple device or hack?
So I'm happy to address that. For engagement services, we don't really do a quote unquote evaluation, but what we do is facilitate community feedback on the development of devices and therapies and treatment. So yes, to that extent, we can, our goal is to tap into diverse voices within our community to give that feedback to developers, large and small, to really hone in on and perfect what they're inventing for our community to better serve our community. So thanks for that question.
Can I just jump in real quick? Bill, I don't know if you're aware, but our organization Praxis, one of our programs is our commercialization program. And so we work with innovators and startup companies who are looking to bring their products to market. And so I think we've probably worked with close to 30 different companies now on a whole wide array. If you want to check our website, we also do regular focus groups and consultation. I think Jen's been involved in a few consultations for us over the years, and we're always looking to bring in the voice of persons with spinal cord injury to help inform their product design and path to market.
Thanks, John. That's really on point with what I had in mind. Appreciate that.
Yeah, and if you guys know of any companies, startups that have innovations that will address any need for persons with spinal cord injury, send them our way. We're always looking for new innovations and companies to help support.
Great. Thanks, John. Samantha. Oh, Sam, you're muted.
And we can't hear her. I don't think might be a connection.
Whoops. I think we lost her, did we?
Yeah, I think she's just trying to figure out her audio here.
Oh, okay.
Sam, if you want to put your comment in the chat, since your audio is not working, hopefully that'll work. Or she said she'll ask in the meeting on Friday. Okay. Thank you. Does
Yeah.
anyone else have any last comments or questions?
I just want to thank you, Kim, personally, for being the firecracker that I've grown to love back in the day, sitting at that Praxis conference. And John sometimes doesn't like when I say it like this, but it was the best thing that happened, was inviting so many people with spinal cord injuries at a conference where there was a disconnect. And it was so apparent, and that was the genesis and the idea. And thank you for all your work, and really appreciate it. And Jen, you're not gone yet, but I know you're stepping down as president, and thank you for all the services that you've done. And you've been a great mentor to all of us, and cracking that whip, which I need to get cracked once in a while, and that's all good. But I really appreciate your work, and I know you're not gone yet, so you're still hanging in there for the next couple of years.
Thanks, Tom. The organization's in good hands. So I know Kim and I stepped down as with heavy hearts, but we also know that the organization's in good hands going forward. So thank you, everybody. Ian, you ready to wrap us up?
Yeah, I just
El
want to.
Presidente?
Yeah, certainly. I really just want to thank everyone for being here, everyone who's, helped NASCA get to the point we're at, and I'm really excited to see how it can grow in the future and continue to really provide a lot of good resources for our community and make sure that things are going in the right direction. So thank you guys so much. I hope everyone has a happy holiday season. And we look forward to seeing you at our next SCI Connections in the new year. It will be in March. Topic is to be determined, but we will see you all then. Thanks so much for joining. Have a good one.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.